Good morning, church. So this morning, I have been tasked to represent the young adults in speaking about resilient women. Yes. So my topic today is called El Sali, and I know it's supposed to be resilient women, but I decided to do something different because that word El Sali has a meaning which I'll be explaining at the end of this talk. Um, so as you know, I'm a woman of science, so I am trained to present the facts. So here I have pictures of women who have done great things through resilience. First, we have a woman who created the folding bed that we use today in hotels. We have Josephine who created the dishwasher. I don't know if all of you knew that. We have the car heaters that we use in our cars today was created by a woman actually, Margaret. We have when you go for your cataract surgery, that was created by a woman and her name is Dr. Patricia. Your stem cell isolation, if you ever need like a transplant, especially in like sickle cell diseases, that was discovered by a woman named Anne Tsukamoto. And finally, our hair products, Black Girl Magic, that's Madam CJ Walker, and she was also America's self-made first ever female millionaire. That being said, next slide. So today we are in church and we are speaking about resilient women in today's modern age. So I want to present to you the story of three women. The first one is Deborah. Some of us may know the story of Deborah. Initially, Deborah was a wife, she was a prophetess, she was a judge, just giving advice here and there. And all of a sudden, she was called to war. If you know the story, you know Barak basically said that he would not go to war except she goes with him. And now you have a woman who, after some failures, some successes, ends up freeing the people of Israel from the hand of the Canaanites. Secondly, we have Mary, the mother of Jesus. This is a woman who just fell pregnant. I don't know about you, but God forbid that ever happened because I don't know what I would do. I don't know who I would explain to that I'm pregnant by nothing. Um, and at the end of the day, she had to just be obedient. And that son that first of all she had and then had to go through trials ended up having to die for everybody, if that's not like the biggest test of time. And then finally, Marie Curie. In science, this is my all-time fave. This woman ended up winning the Nobel Prize in physics because of her discovery for radium and polonium. If you don't know these are like elements that we now use in radiology. So if you go for like cancer treatments and stuff like that, she is a pioneer in why we can do that today. Next slide. So our topic here is resilience, but we can't talk about what we cannot define. So I decided to go to the dictionary and find the definition of resilience. So we have the first definition, the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties. I want you to pay attention to two words, withstand and difficulties. The second one I just put there because it was kind of funny, bouncing back. I don't think we can, physically do that. But the first one I want to emphasize on, the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties. Now, that means for me to be a resilient woman in today's world or anywhere at all, I have to face difficulties. I don't know about you, but I'm just like, I want to live the soft life, but you're telling me I have to be resilient and I have to face difficulties. But in the Bible, we already know that the word of God says, do not be afraid, for I have overcome the world. So the word is already telling us, you will face difficulties, but that is why we have God on our side. Next slide. So from these women, I decided to pick some skills that, stood out to me across the board. We have confidence, awareness, trust, self-control, and patience. Now, I put trust in the middle, but I'm not talking about just your regular definition of trust, like, oh yeah, I trust you to be my best friend. Not here. I'm talking about trust in God and trust in our God-given abilities, right? Because if I trust in God, if I know that God is on my side, if I know that God has me, confidence comes easy. Awareness comes easy. Self-control comes easy. Patience will come easy because I know that God is on my side, because I know that he has put in me everything that I need to conquer. Are we following? Next slide. But however, it would be too easy if I was just, oh, I'm a confident woman. These things are challenged in our lives, and that's why we are here today. My first challenge that came to me was the need to please. For one reason or the other, as women, we feel the need to please. And sometimes pleasing people is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes maybe you're just kind, maybe it's upbringing. However, the fear in that is when you start to please the wrong person. The only way you could please the wrong person is by doing the wrong thing. And when you now start to do the wrong thing, you're starting to conform to things that you are not. You're starting to do things that you do not want to do. And now you are, you're not sure who you are, you're losing who you are, and that is the danger in that. And that is something that poses a threat to confidence. My second is, sorry, go back to that slide, thank you. My second is too many cooks in the kitchen. I don't know if you've ever heard this saying before, but too many cooks in the kitchen will ruin the food. And what do I mean by that? As women, we already know this, like you're told what to be, how to look, what to expect, like just so many different things. But that's not necessarily what we're here for. For this, I want to introduce the topic of parents, right? Because regardless of where you are in your life, you would always have too many cooks in the kitchen. But that is why the Bible says, train up a child in the way that they should go. As parents, as adults, in a young person's life, it is up to you to speak love into that child, to speak confidence into that child, to speak life into that child, because those are seeds that will be planted that will end up, that would end up bearing fruits when these children need it. My third one is being treated equitably. I know sometimes we hear equal and you think because you're lifting bricks, I want to lift bricks too. I honestly cannot. But what I mean by equitably is knowing that I have the same skills, women have the same skills to do what is necessary. For example, if we're in a classroom, if we're in an office setting, do not think that a woman is less capable of doing the exact same thing that you can just because she's a woman, just because, oh, she's pregnant so she cannot, or maybe, women are too emotional. Not necessarily. If you can do it, she can do it too, and maybe sometimes even better. Next slide. So finally, what can we do better? When I said we, obviously I'm talking about women, but I'm also speaking to the men, the fathers, the uncles in this audience. The first thing is guard your heart. We already know this Bible verse, Proverbs 4:23, and it speaks of guarding your heart because basically all the things of life will come out of it, right? So if something comes out of a certain place, like my whole life trajectory comes from the posture of my heart, why would I ever leave that vulnerable? That is like, for me, I read this verse and I was like, okay. And I know sometimes it translates into like, oh, be a hard guy, don't be emotional or whatnot, but not necessarily. It just means protect who you let into your life, the friends you surround yourself with, the people that you are allowed to speak into your life, because when your heart is left vulnerable, people will take advantage of that. The next is stop trying to fit in. If I could scream this right now, I would scream it so loud. We need to stop trying to fit in. Everybody in this room, we are dressed differently, different colors, different backgrounds, but we are all here, gathered in one place, but we are all different. Even if there are multiple praises, even if there are multiple aisles, this aisle A is not similar to aisle B, no matter what. Even if you have the same first name, last name, look, even if you're twins, you are different. So don't try to conform to the standards that you are not. Because in today's world, we have people trying to define our purpose for us. Like you're trying to define me more than me. And no one, I think it's Dr. Seuss that says, be the best you that you can be. Because only you would know. And God, your creator, obviously, because he knows the beginning from the end. And I just have Romans 12 verse 2, which basically like, in summary, speaks about, not conforming to the world. And finally, blooming God's promises. I wrote this and I just imagined myself as some cafe, just chilling and sitting pretty, because as Christians, we already have promises over our lives. When your parents bring you into this world, they, bring you to the altar, they pray over you. So there's so many promises over your life. There are promises such as you are the head and not the tail. You are fearfully and you are wonderfully made. There are promises by God just saying, like, do not fear, I am with you. So when you go through this life, it doesn't matter if someone is saying, like, you're not capable or you can't do this or you can't do that. I have God on my side, and that's all that matters, and that's all that would ever matter. Next slide. Finally, this, for me, is a slogan that I hold dearly. A woman who knows who she is and whose she is a danger to hell and a glory to heaven. Now, what does that mean? Who you are. I know sometimes when they ask you who you are, like, oh, they just said I have a master's in biology. I'm sure my father is happy. But that's all like, you know, like, what if I have a master's in biology but I decide to teach English, or I don't care about it, or I want to do art? So if I hold my identity to what I have, then I would never know who I am. But when you know whose you are, not Okoh's daughter, good man, but that's not all I am, right? We're talking about God. I am God's child. Now, when you know whose you are, you walk confidently in life. Like, how can I know that my father is the creator of the universe? How can I know that he is the beginning and the end, the one who knows tomorrow? And I have that person in my corner. You can never tell me otherwise. You can never tell me that I am not capable of doing certain things. You can never tell me that, you know, I cannot create or I cannot set my mind to do things and accomplish them, because I know that I have God on my side. And if no one has ever done it before, then I will be the first person to do it, because I know who I have in my corner. And then finally, I said that Sali would, you know, tie into the topic for what we're speaking on. And it basically means the Lord is my strength. And that is what I want everyone here to go home with. Every woman, man, father, mother, child, always remember that the Lord is your strength. Like, we would face difficulties, we will face trials. We already know this. The Bible tells us this. The Bible is literally our blueprint for how to live life. But when you remember that the Lord is your strength, you move differently. You walk with audacity. You move knowing that all things literally are working together for your good. Thank you for having me.